Everybody, welcome back to our episode of DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm Mega 31. Only two more races. This is the cutoff race for the final next week in Phoenix. So here's the deal. If you watch these videos, don't know if I'm going to be able to get a truck, an Xfinity video in. They do have practice the day before the race, so I could potentially get a speculation one out. I'll see, depending on how the weekend goes. But with the window between qualifying and the race, it's like 2.5 hours. It is really tight. I think like qualifying the one day is gonna be over at 5. The race starts at 7:30, and I think the truck race it's like at the same thing. It's at 4, so the qualifying will be over at 5, and the race is at 8. So by the time I go through, make sure that tech was good, nobody got disqualified, nobody's moving to the back, build the sheets, do the research, finish up everything, film the video, produce the video, post the video, then you only have like half an hour to watch it. So if you ever need help and just ask questions again next week in this video, just use this video for Xfinity or truck if you want the cores, or hit me up on social media. I always say my DMs are open on Twitter, on Discord. It's MegaRuler31. You can get in the FSI Discord easily, and you can ask questions in like the lobby there. We can once we're mutual servers, it's easier for us to correspond and have conversations with one another. So if you go to the information page, just click on the FSI logo and YouTube, and it takes you to like our page there, and like all our socials are on there. So very, very easy to get a hold of me, and I'm willing to help you. We I appreciate all the subscriptions and everything that has happened in the viewership this season. But again, bottom line is I want to help you over making money. We do need to keep the lights on, but we did a good job in that this season. So if you need help in the Xfinity or the truck race next week and I can't get a video out, then hit me up, or ask questions in this video and we will get you the information. So Martinsville cutoff race, 500 laps. Uh, and they're using that stupid option tire thing. So if you don't remember the other races, they have the softer tire that really helps you gain track position if you use that tire as an option. But the fall off on it is going to be great, which means that it's going to give you a quick boost of energy. It's not like Nas and like Fast and the Furious, but I mean, it's a little bit longer of a sustained boost than that, like maybe like the star in Mario Kart. It should help you get a little bit of advantage up, but it's eventually going to fall off, and then it'll be back to where you were on old tires. And this isn't like a super severe fall off track, but Martinville does definitely have some tire wear that you have to consider here. Um, uh, you sometimes you see people trying to stretch fuel here. It's a short track, so the 500 laps. So there's a lot. You want to find dominators here, and there's usually like 3 to 4. You seldom see like 1 to 2 or somebody go out there like lead like 300 laps or so. That really doesn't happen in the next car and cup, especially when it's a cutoff race. So, but you do want to try to nail those people. So place differential is still good, but at the back of the field, it's with such a short track, you do have the potential to go down fast. So let's look at this. So I think the first thing we need to really look at is Denny Hamlin. And we had it a couple of weeks ago with Blaney, who was starting 37th, and it was good chalk, and you just had to play him. Now I think he only ended up like finishing like 25th. So he really didn't have a ton of place differential. Wasn't a great smash play. I don't think he paid off his price tag. Hamlin makes a difficult decision here because he's the second most expensive guy at 11.3. He's starting dead last. So, and it wasn't because he sucked, it was because he wrecked in practice or fixing the car, something like rubber. His tires caused him to not be able to brake, hit the wall. He'll be fine. They'll repair the car. If not, the backup car is probably better than some of other drivers' primary cars. So they've got an excellent program. They'll get it figured out. So I'm not worried about anything like that. Worried about him going down a lap early, and I'm worried because there's not as many cautions. There's usually single digit cautions if you look it up in the cup race. Xfinity and truck, you see drivers that are inexperienced spin each other around, and you see sometimes cautions up into the teens. But this one seems to be more tame, good racing, and the you don't see as many. So, if you think that okay, you might fall down, but he gets the early caution. But then again, like some of the drivers back here too, he should be able to easily get by. Like maybe starts out on the option tire or something. I don't know. I don't know if they're allowed to or not. I forget how those rules work. If he did, I mean, that'd make a lot of sense because then he could blow up and he wouldn't have it later on, but it would get him definitely some track position. And he's going to need that because right now, Logano and Reddick are locked into next round. Christopher Bell is probably pretty close on points, but Byron, Larson, and Hamlin are all probably within 20 points of each other. And right now, with Hamlin starting this far down, it's a severe disadvantage, and he needs to get places to get up there to advance. Like he's got to get up with like Larson and Byron to score more points than them. So, and it's not like DK. You need like the points for like finishing like actual in positions, not place differential. So it doesn't matter that he like goes like from 37th to 17th and he has like 20 place differential points. If Larson and Byron aren't behind the 17th position, he hasn't gained anything. He's still losing um, points because if Larson's in seventh, then he's still like 10, losing 10 more points to him, if that makes sense. So a lot of incentive for Hamlin to do some crazy things to get up there, to get close, to try to lock this in. Elliott and Blaney, I believe, need to win this one. I think Larson, Byron, and Hamlin is the same thing because Bell's so far ahead. Unless Bell has some troubles, then that might open up the door for one of these. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to completely point their way in. We'll have to see. But all we know is like Reddick and Logano are locks. Elliott and Blaney need to win this race, and Hamlin, Larson, and Byron and Bell, if they have a good day, might be able to point themselves in. So there's two spots open. Looks like Bell's closest to getting the third one, and then the other guys I think are all fighting for the fourth and final one. So we'll see how that works out. So starting up on the pole, Martin Truex Jr. has it. He's always raced really, really well here. I know he finished 18th in the spring, but other than that, he's been phenomenal. I think although we have seen, and I think he was on the pole before a couple races ago, maybe it was last spring or fall, and he kind of fell back. I think he finished like maybe 11th or 12th. So like we've seen the pole sitter like not be like literally dominator, be out there and lead a little bit like Parker Retzlaff did, and he was doing pretty well. Besides like all the cautions there, he probably could have stayed out even longer. So it is possible for them to get out, and especially if they get a good jump and the other guys are battling and they just kind of get away from the pack. But Chase Elliott could be that guy also. The Hendrick cars have always been fast here. You had Byron finishing first. Like it was 1, 2, 3 in the spring. It was Byron, Larson, and Elliott. So they looked good in practice again. They looked good in qualifying. So they should have another strong showing here. So I think Byron's going to be my favorite one out of these dominators. And but Elliott and Truex could definitely be in play here. Briscoe, I've always loved on this type of trunk, and that's why I can put him a 100K driver. Um, but can still consider him in the Dominator category here potentially, and a Dom that can save you some money at 85 if you're building like a 20 max lineup. Because like go back to I believe it's his rookie year, the first year in the Coliseum, just how well he shifts these cars and understands gear ratios and how well he's done in all these like short track races, being able to pass where others can't, just because he understands when to shift and like how to use those gear ratios to his advantage. It always bodes well for him. I could see him staying up here. He finished 10th in the spring race. He started fourth here. It looks like he's got a decent car. Wasn't a top 10 in speed and fall off, but I really don't worry about that because I know what he can do when other cars are on the track that other cars can't do, and that really doesn't manifest itself when you look at like speed and stuff in practice. So Chase Briscoe definitely in play here. My favorite guy to put in the 100K lineup, but you can also play him in GPPs. I don't know if I'd play him in cash. Ty Gibbs has been super fast. On short tracks, but here his average is like in the teens for like finishes for Martinsville. In Xfinity, he was much better, but in this next gen car, he just has been. So I'm putting his upside Dominator because obviously he's fifth and he was just outside the top 10 and fall off in speed in practice. So we'll give him the upside Dominator one. Harrison Burton, this actually sets up to be a really good track for him, but like his finishes are anywhere in like the 20s, and there's no way in hell he's staying up here in sixth position. So it's a hail no for me. Um, Fade Harrison Burton here. FanDuel, maybe. He's going to probably be super cheap. So if you throw him in there, you can probably play anybody. You can probably play like Truex, Elliott, Iron. You could probably do like a whole Hendrick stack with him. Like Harrison Burton's got to be free on FanDuel. Maybe 30 seconds. I'll look that up because he is usually priced way, way, way down there. Okay, so how much is Harrison Burton on FanDuel? Harrison Burton is $2,500. So you put him in your FanDuel lineup, and that gives you 11,875 for the rest of your drivers. So you probably can't get everybody, but you definitely can get like three studs in there. I'm not telling you who I'm putting in here, but and and then you're going to be able to like get a decent car in the mid range. So yeah, definitely a FanDuel play there. And Gibbs is pretty cheap too. He's like so Gibbs and Gibbs and Harrison Burton are great FanDuel plays. Gibbs I still play in GPPs on DK. Harrison Burton I'm not touching. Bowman, part of the Hendricks group, just not as fast. Like, would it shock me if he ends up finishing in the top 10? No. Would it shock me if he somehow figures out and goes up there and leads? I just couldn't put the upside dominator tag on him, but the potential's there for it. So I like him also. Reese, same thing is kind of like Briscoe here. Like he runs really well in these tracks. He qualified well here in the spring race. He finished ninth. So the consistency's been here. I just don't know if the floor is there because things could go south really fast because you've got a whole pack behind him that are playoff drivers that could be fighting to get ahead of him. But I think you got to keep Brian Priest into consideration, and if you're a mass multi-entering, especially 150 max. Kyle Larson, I know he's starting ninth, but he's definitely gonna be a dominator here. It's finishing second in the spring race. Led laps there. He very easily can and pass like a Priest, a Bowman, a Burton, a Gibbs, and get up there in the top five and potentially he's probably gonna lead at some point during this race. Austin Dillon, not as hard of a hell no as Harrison Burton, but his average finishes are in the 30s. He finished 34th in the spring, really struggled here. Great job qualifying up here, but there's no way you're going to hold it, so drop them down. Next two drivers are awesome on tire wear tracks. Uh, Barry and Logano, really like both of them here. Just don't ignore their spring finishes. I think they can both potentially finish in the top 10, so they're going to be 100K drivers here. Logano, it just seems like they're like testing to try to figure out stuff for Phoenix. I think Reddick's doing the same thing. They're both locked in, so what could be more of experimentation, but if they hit on something, I mean, that definitely it could propel you. So I think both of them are going to have like low to medium ownership, and I really like both of them in your 100K lineup. Gillian is running really solid here. He finished 13th in the spring, started like 15th, I believe. So he's starting 13th here. So I think he could still like finish where he starts at 6,600 GPP, but you need you land on him in cash. I'm okay with it. Um, so he just has consistency, but I'll be sprinkling him in some of my lineups where I need some value. Blaney, I have him as upside dominator here. Like he needs to win this race. He is really good on these tire wear tracks, and he used the option tire very well before. Spring race finished fifth, was in the top 10 in speed here in practice. So lots of upside here. Like if he wasn't 11K, I would consider him a cash play. So it's like you're starting to get a prohibited lineup. But I like the place differential, I like the potential for him to go on lead, but I think it's more of a GPP play because I don't know if he has the floor. Hemrick is a hard hell no, just like Burton. Not because he sucks, but just because like he qualified well here, he ran well here in Xfinity, but just in Cup, it just seems like he's going to drop like a rock. So 28th finish in the spring, I just can't see him staying in the top 15. Christopher Bell, he had an accident in or just had a really miserable day in the spring race, but other than that, he's been solid here. Again, I think he's going to go for more stage points than track position and stuff by pitting early. But we'll see what happens. He might be able to clinch by the end of the first or second stage, depending on how the other drivers are doing. And if that's the case, then he's probably going to go out there and go for the win. I think he's a good flash play. I don't know if you can really put him in your dominator group at 16th, but with the safety that he might have versus the other drivers, if he can lock things up by like the second one, is why I'm his cash play because I think he's got a little bit of floor enough to be okay there. McDowell just kind of floating in space here. Ford's abandoned him. He's still going out there and trying to race and learn what he can for the future. But his future is not with them, it's not with his team. And I think they're pretty much done for the year. So I don't think they're going to do him any favors, but they still like to probably go out there and win a race. So GPP for me. Kozlowski's really good on tire wear tracks, although his average finish at Martinsville in the next gen car hasn't been great. It did look like he was top 10 in practice speed, so I think he is playable on cash. Bubba Wallace starting one position below him, $200 cheaper. Bubba had a fourth in the spring race. I think I'd take Bubba over Brad, even though Brad has the better tire wear guy. But I think Bubba just has had the better car, and I know the tracks aren't completely comparable, but Bubba really likes Dover and I guess super speedways too. So I guess Dover doesn't really translate too good here. So Dover's more of an intermediate almost. But yeah, I think Bubba's definitely so I can play in cash. Suarez, he's just probably going to finish in the top between 20 and 25th. And nothing really screams anything to me here. I don't think he's a fade, but GPP for me. Eric Jones has been good on tire wear tracks, finished 12th here in the spring race, even though his legacy club has been up and down all season and more downs than up. I think this is a chance for him to finish strong and have a good day. I think he'll be highly owned because other people know that. And I think he's a solid cash player, 61. Ross Chastain beside the Hale Mellon here 2 years ago when he ran the wall and was able to provide that miracle to get him enough points to get him into the final. Really, overall, it hasn't been great here. I know he had a 14th place finish in the spring. I think he's got a little bit of upside, but I think he's more GPP. Same thing with Kyle Busch. I didn't see anything that really stuck out for either one of these drivers who are only $200 apart for me in the in practice. That makes me think, even though they both had almost top 15 in the spring, yeah, there's some upside of like 7 to 8 points, but I just don't love it here. So I just don't think that I really want to go there. So GPPs, I think you're not, this is like no man's land here. If you're trying to get these like expensive dominators in and trying to play Denny Hamlin, you're not going to end up in the 8K range. So it's not even going to be an issue. Cindric, low GPP play. I just almost put a fade on him, but nothing really I can say here. Next two I really like. You have Grayson here and Busher. Busher's always been good on tire wear tracks. I think there's a lot of upside here. Finished 15th. So solid cash play if you can get to him at 75. But Grayson, almost the same thing here. Not as good, but is pretty proficient in tire wear. So I think he's got some cash upside here. Um, Finished 20th, so that's only 5 place differential points. But at 6,800, I think he's a solid fill-in. Hocevar is the one I like the most here. Hocevar in some categories, um, if you look at like the 20, 25, 30 lap average was in the top 10. So obviously some good fall off here. I know for rookies it's hard, uh, but it's and he didn't have as many reps on this track because the trucks in Martinsville. Oh no, maybe they did race it twice, but I can't remember if that was just something they did this year or they've done it previous years. But he has some experience here. He's good on tire wear, and the Spire team has been solid. So I'm gonna give him the prime play. You're gonna need somebody in this price range, 17th in the spring. That's 10 place differential points. If he can get up in the top 20, have a solid day there at 6,700, I think that's what you need to make the rest of your lineup work. Stenhouse has never been good on flat tracks, so no for me. GVP potentially, but I think people will look at him for the place differential, but I think that's a mistake, so don't fall for that trap. Shane Van Gisbergen, really destroyed a lot of people's days in Xfinity. I had a great Xfinity day. I had some takedowns, um, and some multiplayer tournaments, and did pretty well overall. I think I played only like $28 in one lineup and ended up winning like 135. So, it's definitely was a when you win over $100 of your entry fee. I mean, that's a good day for me. Um, Tend to play later like this time. Well, you have to because the contests are not as good, but just with busy weekends, sometimes it's hard if like you got to go back and try to adjust a bunch of lineups. If you get like news and stuff, it's just not feasible. And I'd rather be helping people than trying to adjust my own lineups last minute. So Van Ginsbergen, just in the cup car here. Although, road racers have done well on shorter tracks, so maybe that's why I feel he's gonna have like high ownership here. With people are gonna look at that and think like this could turn into like the Chicago Street Course or some of the other ones. So same principles that maybe um, help out Briscoe, and so we'll see what happens there. But I think he's actually, I think he's gonna have low ownership here. Um, Sorry, I was looking at the high. I was looking at Ricky Stenhouse. So, uh, Van Gisberger's in play, but again, I think there's better plays like Haley, $500 cheaper here. The Spire team has been really good. He had top 10 in like 25, 30 lap average here. Finished 30th in the spring, but I think he was in the rookie car, and I think the Spire car has so much more potential. So I think that he's got some upside here. Good on tire wear, and I think he's far enough away from the back that he's not going to fall down and get lapped right away. I think he can make his way up to it. Reddick, I think, is you can play him in cash for the place differential, but again, are they going to be experimenting? Do they really care? They're already locked into the next round. Seventh here in the spring didn't really look great in practice and qualifying, but again, were they just trying some stuff and maybe like once the race starts, they're going to go out there and I just can't foresee Reddick finishing in the 30s. Think there's some upside, but at 9K, are you really going to be able to put him in your cash lineup and be okay sacrificing the Dominator so that you're going to need those points from? John Hunter Nemechek, wrecked here in the spring. GPP if you have to, but I think there's much better plays. Only $100 more for Haley. Grawl is a fade. LaJoy 54, I think, is the GPP here. Same thing as Nemechek. Don't like either one of them. We have seen some punts do well and end up in the Optimal in Martinsville, but again, the potential just to go so many laps down so quickly, it just has me off of most of these guys down here. But Zane Smith, I think that he is in the Spire team and the Truck Series. He was good at this track. So prime play for me, and then Hamlin also. So the primes we're looking for the place differential. We're looking for cheap guys back here plus Hamlin. If you don't think Hamlin can get enough place differential to pay off his tag, I'm fine with you fading him. I'm not saying that he's like you have to eat this good chalk, and he's even if he's 75% owned, there is a pathway where he's not going to pay off. You might be better served saving $300 playing Blaney for the place differential there because Blaney, if he finishes fourth, is going to have just as much place differential as Hamlin if he has a miserable day, gets caught up in traffic here, gets down multiple laps, and is up like 27th. It's the same ratio. But Blaney has a chance being that close at number four to potentially maybe lead some laps. So I'm not saying Hamlin's a fade. I'm just saying that I'm going to put him as prime play, but I understand if you don't want him to be the prime play, then take Blaney. It's almost or Larson, one of those two in the 11K range. Make them the prime one, and then try to get the dominators in up top. Truex, Byron, Larson, if you can get to him also, Elliott, Briscoe and GPPs, Gibbs. You need to try to figure out who you think's gonna, maybe even Bell, who you think's gonna get up there and be leading these laps and getting those golden fast laps and laps led. So I got 4 questions. Put them in the chat below. Hit me at MegaRoar31 on Twitter or X. If you want more information on FSide DFS, like I said, if you go into the description of the video, it's a great price. If you go to the link to our pricing page that's in the description, it's only $6 a day to play everything. So tomorrow, if depending on when you sign up, you'll get soccer, you'll get NHL, you'll get NFL, you'll get NBA, and NASCAR. So like lots of coverage, low price. It's also a good day to usually probably going to use my crown boost tomorrow also just because you end up playing a bunch of different sports that day. So I got for you. Good luck in your contest. I'll see you next week. I'll definitely have the cup video. I don't know about the other two, but as I said earlier on the video, just put comments in this one if you need help on truck and Xfinity. And I've won the last I think 5 or 6 races. So hopefully make it like 7, lucky number 7 tomorrow with the cup race and continue on and before the holiday break and be back in Valentine's Day for Daytona around that team. So thanks for watching Mega War 31. Good luck in your contest, and I will see you next time.